Hey, good morning. Welcome welcome to the Siberia. I don't know. It is cold out there. Oh. Today is January 4th, 2018. It's 10 a.m. here on the East Coast. My name is Jeff Fritz, and we're going to do a little pair programming today. It is snowing. It is cold. I saw it was how many degrees outside? Freezing out there. 21 out there with a high of 23 Fahrenheit. That's like -2 or 3 to my Celsius friends. It's even cold in Dallas. Look at that. Stupid cold. I've got family in the Tampa area, and they're saying it's 33 Fahrenheit in Tampa. Woo. So I hope you're staying warm wherever you are. We're going to do some pair programming. I want to do some more work on some SignalR things today. I'd like to get in and do some more with our Docker containers to drive the little application we're working on. 23 in Western Arkansas. Dear Lord, that's cold. Hope you guys are staying warm out there. Everybody's having a good morning wherever you may be. Good afternoon if you're in Europe. Good afternoon, DJ Vortex. Gosh, we should talk about what you've been working on. Let me go through and touch some of the warm-up things here. The music you hear playing in the background, this is of course music to code by my friend Carl Franklin. Today we're listening to a piece called Gold. And this was part of Chapter 4, the 4th album that Carl was putting together. It's, of course, available along with all of the other music to code by from either mtcb.pwop.com if you want to download and get your own copy, or you can install the app Music to Flow By from musictoflowby.com, and that'll get on your device. So thank you, Carl, for letting me use some of this music. It's been really great to hear in the background of the stream. Today's hat, this is Heroes of the Storm. I am a huge fan of this game. If you're familiar with other multiplayer open battle arena games, MOBAs, like League of Legends or Dota, this is Blizzard's entry into that, but it's a little bit different from the others. Great game. I am a big fan of this. I encourage you to check it out. Some people sometimes call it HOTS, HOTS, because of the acronym Heroes of the Storm is so long. So check it out. Information about my ID and who I and so you can find me on Battle.net out there if you want to play against me, is available on my Twitter. But I'm C# Fritz out there on Battle.net if you're interested in playing. So music, hats. A couple other things. I was on .NET Rocks on Tuesday morning. That was published. So if you want to hear me ramble about ASP.NET for about 50 minutes with Carl and Richard, I encourage you to check that out from .NETRocks.com. I've been asked to kind of mention this a little bit, but my book finally was published. There it is. Teach Yourself ASP.NET Core in 24 hours. Check it out wherever dead trees are available. So that's my first book. I'm proud that I finally got that thing delivered and published. Kind of a big day in the Fritz house that we were able to get that out the door. So if you're interested, check it out. I've got sample code available. I've got I need to get my live website back up and running. But that's all available online. You can get it Amazon. You can get ebook versions. So check that out if you're interested. Thank you, Reno. Thank you, DJ Vortex. That was a lot of work, and it's already out of date. So I'm in talks to figure out if we want to do a revision 2. All right. I have Microsoft Virtual Academy courses out there. Those are available for you. Thank you, Statue. You can check those out at Microsoft Virtual Academy. Those are free courses if you want to learn more about ASP.NET. If you want to learn more from us in person, the folks over at Dev Intersection, they asked me to drop them a plug. So let me make sure I bring up their website. Here we are. So Dev Intersection is at the end of March 25th. Good morning, Organic IT. If you want to come, you want to learn from a bunch of us from the .NET team in person, we'll be there at the Walt Disney World Swan. End of March, it's actually the week before Easter, right between the religious holidays there. So it might be a good time to get away, get to a little bit warmer, and sign up for Dev Intersection. I think it's listed here. Let's see if it's here. I will be giving a full day workshop on ASP.NET Core here. Where is it? Sunday. There it is. Build your own application with ASP.NET Core. So if you're interested, you can come check that out. Devin asks, any chance, any events in the UK? I'm not coming to NDC London. That's I think next week, the week after. Right, NDC London. I think it's in the next 2 weeks. But a bunch of my colleagues are going to be there, including the Scots, Guthrie and Hanselman. Hunter is not joining them. Damien will be there. Jasmine Greenaway will be there. Steve Sanderson. If you haven't seen Steve speak on ASP.NET, he has some amazing content. The NDC folks typically publish videos of their sessions about a week or two after the event. I would strongly recommend checking out Steve's session if you're not there in person so you can talk to him. Check it out a couple weeks later when they do publish it, because he always has some really cool stuff. He's one of our lead researchers on the team. But I am not currently scheduled for anything in the UK. There's a chance, since I hang and run with the Dev Intersection folks a lot, if they're going to be going back to Stockholm in the fall, there's a chance I'll be going to Stockholm. I need to find the right event in London to go to. I've never been to London. I've never been to the UK. I haven't been invited to do any events in the UK, and the only reason I was invited to do the event in Stockholm is because I knew the folks who were organizing the event. So, yeah. It's just a question of if and when and how to get there. I am going to be at, let me see, I do have, let's see here, GitHub, C# Fritz, that's me, Fritz.livestream. I do have over here in the wiki live events I'm speaking at soon. So I'll be at the MVP Summit for MVPs, Dev Intersection in Orlando, Build, of course, I will be at. Ignite, I will be at. We haven't announced the date for Build yet, even though the date for Ignite was already announced. So this feels weird, but they should be announcing something soon. So, let me see. Oh gosh, a lot of comments here in the chat room. Oh, NDC, great reminder, meant to be going to Troy's workshop. Better hassle the boss. Yes, Troy Hunt will be, of course, at NDC London. Amazing speaker, really great to attend his workshops. If you have a chance, go check it out. Amazing, thanks for that. Sadly, probably won't be able to make it. I'm deeply in the north and halfway through my degree. Oh, good luck to you there, Devin. Yes, I have never been to London, and I spoke. I actually. Raven, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that, and thanks a lot, Steve. I spoke at the first event that I spoke at in Europe was actually an event that Red Hat invited me to. Thanks to my friend Martin Fowler for setting No, not Martin Fowler. Don't know Martin Fowler. Martin Woodward. Wrong Martin. I'm confusing David Fowler and Martin Woodward. Martin Woodward invited me to, and it was it was an event in Czech Republic, in Brno. Brno, I better say it the way they say it. And amazing event, really great folks there, and I even got a chance to speak to some of the folks at the local user group. Let me keep going down here. So I spoke there, and then there was a group in Switzerland that had an event that they needed a keynote speaker at, and I was literally leaving Czech Republic at the same time as they were having their event. So I said, sure, I'll take care of that, and I keynoted an event in Switzerland last year. So those were the only 2 events prior to Dev Intersection, and like I said, it's like folks in Europe don't know me, and I need to figure out if, when, and how to get in there. Born in South London. Cool. Mud Diver. For those of us stuck in web forms, do you have any recommended resources to stay up to date with anything that is new going on with it? Here. Stay here. I'm the one working on web forms. I'm the program manager for web forms. Check out our blog if you want to learn and keep up with web forms. That's at blogs. MSDN, Microsoft, Com, WebDev, and any announcements about new features that we're working on Mud Diver, you'll find them here on our blog. There it is. And you may notice some of the blogger people that are on here. Just saying. So, that's a great place to keep in touch. That's blogs.msdnmicrosoft.com. Only reason you learned about me was a post on Microsoft Facebook fan page. I think I posted that, actually. On the ASP.NET page. That's actually me. Let's see. But I am working on an ebook on modern web forms development, and I hope to get that published in the next few weeks here. I'm a little bit behind on it, but just because things have come up here over the holiday break and whatnot. I'm sure everybody saw the Intel news. Hi, Mixer's incredible. Feels way faster than Twitch. Cool. I'm glad you like that, Raven. Will my ASP.NET Core workshop be recorded? No. The workshops are not recorded at Dev Intersection. However, check out the goal bar up at the top. If you're interested in an ASP.NET Core workshop, I've set a goal of 500 viewers, and we need to fix the bar. That's going to be one of the tasks that we're going to do here today. We're going to write some code to fix that. But let your friends know. Let your colleagues know about the stream here. When I get to 500 followers combined between Twitch and Mixer, I'll host an 8-hour workshop live here on stream. You'll be able to ask your questions. You'll be able to interact with me. You'll be able to follow along. I'll publish the sample code. Actually, I'm going to use the same sample code that's in the book. So if you bought the book, you'll have the material for the workshop. But let your friends know. Encourage them to come along and follow. It doesn't cost anything to follow. I don't ask for any money from you for the stream. Check it out. There we go. Look at that already. Thank you, Roald373. I appreciate that. And it looks like we're going to have another one light up here. Jokus Jengus. Jokus Jengus? There it is. Thank you, Jokus Jengus. And I'm glad, looking at the event list way over there on the other side, I'm glad that Mr. Popsicle did not pop up while I was streaming. That's weird. Like I said, sometimes some of you folks have some interesting some interesting handles. Yes, thank you, Popsicle. Welcome to the stream. The 500 followers is going to crack soon. Do it, please. That's my challenge to you, and I've got an idea what I want to do at 1,000. You probably know some of the folks that I work with, and actually on Thursday next week, I think we're going to try and I think we're going to have Glenn on, and we're going to talk through some Docker stuff and some SignalR stuff, and he's actually really interested in getting on stream and working together and showing you folks some of the things that are going on there. Does anyone know how to change the stream resolution on Mixer? I don't see an option for it. You know what? I don't see an option for it either. Make it really big. You can watch, Mixer has an app for your phones, Mixer has an app for Xbox, for PlayStation, so put me on the TV. Nah, whatever. Yep, I knew you were the web forms guy, that's why I asked. Let's see, a lot of smiles. Would following you on both platforms would be considered to be 2 follows? Yeah, it would. But here's the thing. I'm trying to get that follower number up, so because the bosses are actually watching and keeping an eye on how things are developing here. So the more folks that you can bring in, invite, let folks know on Twitter, hey, come check this out. You know, we're having a good time chatting and learning about development in .NET. The better, right? So we'll get more conversation. We'll get into other topics. Folks will ask questions that you might be interested in or that you didn't know about. And we'll develop and we'll build this thing out a little bit. I switched to Twitch for that very reason. Way to go. So it looks like, and we've got about 37 folks watching live now. I know that when you have connection issues, it suggests to change resolution. There's an action link in the pop-up on Mixer. Oh, cool. All right. So I think that's all the housekeeping that I needed to do before we got into things here today. Yeah, I think so. And actually a couple of local reporters in the Philadelphia area here started seeing me talking about some of the things, particularly when I started talking about Amazon, my Amazon thing. Return to dust. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah. Any tips for a prospective .NET dev? Having my interview for Microsoft internship later this month. Gosh, Devin. Okay, so that's actually 2 different things that I would recommend, okay? So if you're being interviewed, in fact, let me go back to the full face because it doesn't feel right to have that background there. Yes, Aaron Rails. Check out Virtual Academy. That's a great place to get started. Okay. The wife with a question here. Microsoft Virtual Academy is a great place to get started. I recommend start with the basics, start with C#. Okay, as a .NET developer, C# is kind of the primary language where we encourage folks to get started. Tensive Cafe 1627. Thank you for the follow. I'm guessing Tensive Cafe up to 1626. Those were all taken, so you took 1627. That's okay. So, start with C#. Visual Basic and F# are great languages that we support on .NET also, but C# is really the primary one that you'll see people writing articles in. That's the code, the language that you'll see me use here on stream, but you can get started and you can really do a lot with just a couple of basic structures, learning how to do if blocks and for loops, but you've got to learn classes and interfaces and how object-oriented design, application design, kind of fits together. Louis Quintanilla? Thank you, Louis, for the follow. I appreciate that. And I love calling out, recognizing everybody who does a follow here on the stream. I really appreciate that. Mixer doesn't have an official UWP app, though. Yeah, but you can browse to it with your browser. It's an official UWP app called Edge. Use your browser. It works great. But if you're interviewing for a Microsoft internship, Devin, I would suggest, get your mind thinking outside the box, okay? They're not going to be asking you questions about how do you code this. They're going to ask you questions like, what would you think about, how would you structure code to measure the weight of a bus, right? How would you, they're going to give you some out there questions that are different, right? To see how you think about things, because they can teach you languages. They can teach you how to use the tools. In fact, a number of the developers that we hired for ASP.NET internships had no .NET experience when they started, but they were up to speed with .NET within a week or two. Okay, So you need to be able to learn, and you need to be able to think, right? I know I interviewed for a Microsoft internship, 1997. NPM install Goon. NPM? No, it's okay. Welcome. Thank you for the follow. Cracking the code interview. That sounds interesting. Never read that. But one of the questions they asked me was, they've got a big jug. If they had a jug, say like a water cooler jug, and it was filled with some red ping pong balls and some blue ping pong balls, how would you write code? What process would you go through to be able to count how many red ping pong balls there are and how many blue ping pong balls there are? How would you figure that out just from the outside looking at the jug? And it was an interesting thought exercise, but that's what they wanted to hear, was that thought exercise. So think about some of those, be ready to think abstractly around some of those things. I've done plenty of C# before, done internship based on .NET. Cool. That's why I'm super looking forward to my interview. Are you interviewing with folks for a job in the UK? Or are you interviewing for something that would be over in Redmond at headquarters? I'm in Return to Dust. I'm in the Philly area too. I will be in 2 weeks, right? Where is it? Meetup. I will be at... What the heck? I don't want to create a meetup. I want to find a meetup. Tech. I will be at philly.net. There we go. On January 24th, if you're in the Philadelphia area. Hey, that's me right here. Let's go back to the screen. So I will be speaking on Wednesday, January 24th, about .NET in 2018, and I'm going to try my darndest to get it streamed over here. The Philly.net team does stream on Mixer. At the very worst, I'll host, and you'll be able to watch me giving this presentation live on Mixer. Thanks for the follow, Raven. I appreciate that. 3 weeks, January 24th. Yep. So that's Rich Ross in the Mixer chat room. That's him right there. No data structures, algorithms, questions. Nah, I haven't heard folks, get hardcore on data structures or algorithms. They really want to hear how you think. They kind of expect you to have some of that knowledge, and they get some of that off of your resume. It's for a UK technical intern. 12-month placement. Ooh. That was on Twitch, so I switched. That's all right. The book you mentioned is an awesome book. Don't forget to practice on Hacker Hank or similar sites. I have to stream at 480p. All right. That might be a little bit difficult because we're going to get into, when we get into the code, it might be a little bit harder to read. So, I am in the middle of putting in an application to speak at CodeStock in Knoxville, Tennessee in April. They've asked me to submit for this. There's a pretty good chance that I would be speaking at it, even a really good chance that I'll be keynoting it. We'll see about that. Still trying to work out the details on this one. But that's hanging out there for April. All right. That's a lot of housekeeping. I don't think I have much else to go over here. But future guests, I did speak to Glenn. He's interested in joining us on Thursday. My friend Kathleen Dollard, she's interested in joining us and showing some stuff around coding on a Mac. So I'm going to have to do some rewiring so that I'm presenting Mac here on the screen. But I've got a couple folks that are very interested. Sarah Dukevich, am I pronouncing that right? Dukowitz? I am terrible at pronouncing people's names. But she's expressed an interest in joining and doing some pair programming. Maybe even doing a little bit of documentation. So we'll see about that. So that's a little bit about CodeStock, a little bit about future guests that I've been talking to. we'll get that lined up and we'll have folks joined on here in a bit. I've already gone through and previously looked at the different projects that are out here. Of course, if you have any questions for me, things you want to see me demo or talk about here on the stream, if you don't catch me in the chat room during stream, check out the issues list over here on GitHub. You can click through here, create a new issue, and we'll answer that question live here on the stream. And some of these are some things that I need to do a fix on. I think I've got the intro kind of down, but I think I need to do a little bit more work on that. Like maybe have some real music or something. Don't know. I'm going to close out this one. Show ASP.NET Core controller use for both API and MVC. Look at that. I need to log into GitHub here. I am C# Fritz. Here's my password. And I've got to do my two-factor authentication. So I actually spoke to some people earlier in the week who didn't know what two-factor authentication is. So I think I need to finish putting together not just a blog post, but a video about how to do two-factor authentication. Now, my employer encourages me to, not encourages, requires, in order for me to be able to contribute code to our repositories, requires us to have two-factor authentication. So this code that I'm keying in was generated from my phone, which only I have, and it lets me log in and access that. What do you use to stay organized across all my activities? Honestly, I keep a checklist in OneNote, and I just keep coming back to that checklist and move stuff along through it. So it can be a little messy at times, but it works. And of course, the number of emails that we get at Microsoft, right? The inbox almost becomes a to-do list all the time. Trello is a great option. I used Trello for a while, but it was hard for me to stay connected to it, to stay anchored to Trello, and I kept wandering away from it and trying to come back. It's a great system. Check out Trello. It's real easy to get started and use. All right, so I wanted to close out this. We covered using this. We covered this design strategy in streams at the beginning of January. And I'm going to close that. All right. Need to figure out if I want to use Discord for a unified chat. The separate chat rooms here only merged on screen like this is kind of weird. So I feel like I want to use Discord for that, and I've raised this as a question a couple times here. What do the folks in the chat rooms think if I were to move to Discord? And that also reminds me here. No, I won't do that right now. At some point, I need to start appointing some moderators, because I have seen some trolls pop up in the chat rooms. There was one on Tuesday, and that was kind of annoying. But I think we need to figure out if Discord was going to work. Not a big fan. IRC. Well, there you go. Well, here's the thing, right? I know Twitch is actually IRC. I forget if Mixer is IRC. It might also be IRC as well. And it's easy to attach to those and use those as endpoints. I would use Discord if it was the only option. It's not a deal breaker. Okay. Anybody else have feelings about Discord and using that? Write a chat client using SignalR. Oh. For me, Discord works pretty well, but only use it when gaming. Okay, that's interesting. Does Careers Microsoft Com work right now? I'm unable to get. Careers Microsoft Com. Connection refused. So I know the Azure folks were rebooting a bunch of servers. So let's do down for everyone or just me. Right? Have you seen this? Down for everyone or just me? And actually, careers, Microsoft.com. It'll actually check it from a bunch of places. It's not just you. It looks down from here. Yeah. Twitch now has a desktop client and also has Discord-like features. It does. But I've got folks on multiple services. So I feel like I almost want to abstract that away. I like the idea of a chat client using SignalR. We had something called Jabber that we used a while ago that was all SignalR based. Maybe I stand up a Jabber chat room that we can all join into, and then we can maintain too. But I want to be able to do some of the gimmicks and things that the online services have available. So maybe we'll just write it ourselves, and that'll be a learning process for us. This I'm having problems with the Docker containers, so I think this needs to be tabled. Let's mark this as a question. I want to make this red. No. Red. Postponed. Alright. And I need to figure out what's going on with this one. So let's label that postponed. Cool. And the .NET Standard one here, I think I want to try and get Imo to help us with this one. Alright. Oh, DJ Vortex, were you able to get through debugging your issues with your V6? Because you've really come a long way with that. I feel like I want to show what you've got there. Ugh. Let's log in. What's my login over here? Is it that? Nope, it's not that. Is it this one? Nope, not that one either. How about that one? Nope. Nope. There we go. And my login code. See this? I've got two-factor on everything. 173. There we go. So, DJ Vortex has been working on a extension based on some of the things that we learned over here on this stream. What's that called? Where is it? You've been playing a lot of Call of Duty. What's this? Where'd it go? Because you had a link to your marketplace. And I'm trying to find your link here. Visual Studio Media Player. Cool. Marketplace. Visual Studio. So based on some of the things that we did in the epic build music, Vortex, here it is. Visual Studio, look at that icon. That's pretty hot. 3 installs? Let's check this out. I'm going to install it. So this was inspired by some of the things that was it inspired? Based on some of the things that we were doing, DJ Vortex went and built this to allow you to have a media player right there inside Visual Studio. Still have to build, deploy manually, and attach to process. Interesting. I think, I gotta close. I've got Visual Studio still open back here. Let's close that. Let's dial in some of the folks on the Visual Studio team, see if we can get you some help here. Fantastic. You had an app and you went and added it in. That's very cool. So now Let me relaunch. And let me reopen the project that I was working on. And it's not there. Come on. There we go. Radical Bow. Thank you for the follow. 59468. I'm assuming that's a postal code. Let's see. Media. Visual Studio Media Player. Package did not load correctly. Nope. What did I do wrong? External command 2. What's that? Error lookup. Ugh. Did you put it on the menu here? I don't see media player yet over here. That's his pin. Whose pin? Whose pin? Not my pin. View other windows, VS Media Player. Oh, there we go. View other windows. Visual Studio Media Player with the cool icon too. Look at this. Yeah, I don't see the window popping up here. All right. Well, there's a bug report for you. So, last follower, not zip. Yeah, right? That could be his pin. Way to go. Anyways, all right, let's get into and back into our project here. This is my Stream Tools project. So we're continuing to add SignalR functionality to this. And what the Stream Tools does is it builds some of the widgets that you see embedded here on the screen. The bar up at the top, the goal bar that for the workshop, and the followers count are being generated, are being generated by this web app, okay? All the code for this, of course, is out here on GitHub. And we started working on putting SignalR in here so that instead of the bar and the follower count polling, right, every 5 seconds it goes and queries my application, let's use SignalR, which will enable WebSockets if your browser supports that, and actually push that change down. Swimburger, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And thank you, Steve. Thanks for reminding us about developers. So I want to start pushing that. Now, I ran into a bug when I started using the tool this morning, and the bug you can see down here. I'm on the bug no stream Git branch because I ran into an error where the update viewers method here would trigger, and since I wasn't broadcasting yet, the stream object, right? The Twitch stream object was null. Oops. So if that's null, we need to return. We need to escape out of that. And actually, that's not. I had to fix that so I could get the widgets working here before we got started. So I'm actually, you know what? I want to change this so I don't just want to make sure if it's null we exit out. Stacks47, thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. I don't just want to check if it's null. I also want to check. I should set the current viewer count to 0 as well. So let's make sure. Promisified? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. You know what? It's actually this, right? No, actually, wait, hang on. We can just do current viewer count equals 0, right? And that will kind of lock down and address that situation. So let me, and you can see here I'm on my bug no stream here. Let me commit that. No. Let me add Stream Tools. Let's move this up a little bit so everybody can see it over my head. Stream Tools, what was it? Services, Twitch service. Now commit it. Fixed bug. When stream isn't running. Cool. Let me go back to my dev branch that I forked off of here. And I'm going to merge bug no stream. That was easy. Let me just take a quick look at my log here. Let me rebase and merge these last two. So I'm going to do a rebase -I, and I'm going to go to head -2. So what rebase does, it lets you merge and rewrite history here. And what I'm going to do, I have unstaged changes. Let's reset hard. So that should get rid of that. So now let me try and do that rebase again. What if I tell you that I have a PR for the SignalR branch? Awesome. We'll take a look at that. Let me squash this. So what I can do is I can say, grab this commit and squash this other commit into it. Okay, and it goes top to bottom in the order that it merges these in. So I'm going to squash, I'm going to meld this second commit, 3.1 Baker, into 5.3 Echo. So it becomes one commit with all of the changes. And it'll appear as one commit in my history here. Now this is VI. So I've got to do ZZ to save and quit. And now it's giving me the opportunity to merge those commit messages here. So I'm using the arrow keys to navigate around. VI purists would use H, J, K, and L. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know my way around VI. But you can use the arrow keys. They work in the current version of VI as well. And I don't need this second. That's fine. All right, now I can use capital Z to save and commit that. Promisified, what is the tech stack of this project? So this project that we're working on is it's ASP.NET Core running inside of a Docker container, written with C#, and I've got a little bit of JavaScript that we're writing client-side to do that live update capability from my server. What and Emacs? Emacs. I've been a longtime fan of VI. In my house when I grew up, my father was a Unix admin. Big IBM AIX machines he was managing for an insurance company, and I was taught VI from an early age. I'm still a little bit not as confident with it as I'd like to be, but I'm getting better. All right, so I've done that rebase, and you can see here I've only got one commit now, and it's slightly different than my dev branch that is out on GitHub. So let me push that up, and then we'll go back to my feature branch here, and we can start working with SignalR again. So let me check out, right? So I can delete my bug no stream branch. So let's do that. Branch -D will delete bug no stream. Cool. And then I will git check out feature. See, I can't tab complete on this. There's an extension for PowerShell called poshgit that will give you autocomplete and some other things around your Git prompts. Real programmers use butterflies. How does this project help manage the stream? Is it stream overlay that you're making? Yes, that's right, Raven? Raven. I'll go with Raven until I get a better pronunciation for you. So the top overlay, the goal up there, ASP.NET Core Workshop, that's actually coming out of this ASP.NET Core app. I'll show you where it's coming from in just a second. So I've merged that. So now I'm back in my feature SignalR. I have Gobo Power. Welcome to the stream. Let me take a look here, because who was it? Bruno said there's a PR for the SignalR branch. Look at that, there's a PR. Feature SignalR. What did you do, Bruno? It seems to be working fine. A few observations. I noticed on my test it takes 30 seconds to trigger the SignalR command, because the Twitch API code seems to be comparing the number of subs from time to time. I only tested Twitch, but Mixer should be working as well. I had to do some research, as this is my first time working with SignalR, and on how references below are the 2 links that helped me make the changes in this pull request. Very cool. You haven't used commands since learning PowerShell. You know, I need to spend some more time learning PowerShell. I'm only using the command prompt here because it's kind of a lowest common denominator. But I think maybe we need to spend some time learning PowerShell. Let's do that. Need to spend some time learning more about PowerShell. I also want to do a Windows subsystem for Linux. Subsystem for Linux. Come on, fingers. All right. So let's see. So you have some references to a code project article and Web Active Directory. ASP.NET use URL content from Razor to resolve relative URLs. Okay. SignalR working. Removed garbage I introduced in CSproj. Removing 2 unnecessary properties as I drop their usage. Adding SignalR to goal as well. Really? Okay. So we can take a look at some of these check-ins. Which keyboard do you use? Speaking of fingers, we're looking to upgrade. I'm actually using the Surface Book 2 keyboard. Black Nemesis, welcome. Thank you for following the stream. This is the Surface Book 2, and to be clear, I was using. One second here. I don't see it. To be clear, let's see if we can do this. Wow, that's still hot. What's it doing? Has this been running? Go away. I'm trying to tell this machine to shut down. I've been using a Surface Pro 3. Yep, there it was. It was Windows Insider. But I was using one of these. And of course you can see it's got a little bit of sweat stains on it. But of course, if you're going to get a keyboard for your Surface Pro, get it with your favorite team on the back. Welcome, Lachenmers? Very cool. Thank you for joining us. So is the overlay essentially a web app with a URL that you supply as a browser source in OBS? Yes, Promisified. that's exactly what it is. I'll come back to the pull request in just a second here. If you go to livejeffreyfritz.com, not life, livejeffreyfritz.com, and I have a link here to what my setup looks like. And I talk about the widgets that I have on screen. Each of the widgets it's a browser source that's embedded using OBS. Excuse me. So this allows you to just put web content in here, and it'll respond to different things, and we can paint the screen appropriately. So even the chat room over there, that's actually a web page from Restream.io. So there's information here about how I set this up. There's what my chroma key screen looks like that you can't see behind me because I've removed it. I've removed the green color. But there's all kinds of information about my setup here. You can see more about that. But this repository has information about the different features that I've been adding to build out some of these widgets, because I'm a developer. I want to be able to build and maintain my web content. So that's exactly what we're doing, Promisified. Check digits. I use a Razer Black Widow Ultimate. Very cool. Before this keyboard, I used the MS3000 keyboards. I used to go through 2 keyboards a year. Wow. The Razer is guaranteed for 2 years, so I figure I'll be breaking it even if it dies early. Nice. You'll be breaking even. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Who dat? Is somebody a Saints fan there? A New Orleans Saints fan? Let's see. Devin, check digits. I'm using the Corsair K70. Cool. But recently got some nasty ghosting, so need to switch. I'm pretty sure that's the most concise it gets. Thanks, Promisified. I always wondered how they work. Yeah, so, here, let me show you this. So, right, this is my Docker container that's running on my production machine, right? The Surface Pro, and there's instructions about how I've got everything set up here. But this is listening on port 8000, so I really just have a browser opened and pointed to those locations. Now, there's another service out there called Streamlabs that does a great job of putting these things together, and I actually use their events list, and that's what you see over there on the bottom right. And we'll eventually get to that, and also the viewer count in the top right. Those are from Streamlabs. But as a developer, I want to learn and be able to develop those things myself. So building an ASP.NET Core app and embedding those features is teaching me a little bit about about sockets, a little bit more about some modern JavaScript that I haven't worked with in a while, and it's helping me build a Docker-based application that I can start and stop real easy. Maybe a practical IOC with DI container stream. So IOC is inversion of control. That's a design strategy. DI is dependency injection. That's one of the new features that comes embedded in ASP.NET Core that you can use to pass around different objects. And actually, Raven, I've been touching on some of those topics as we go through and build the project here, but I can certainly talk more towards those. Meat Popsicle, I learned to code back in the days when screens were green and keyboards were a little less forgiving. The old IBM mechanical keyboards. Clack, clack, clickety, clickety, clack. So cool. Love that keyboard. What are you using on the client side? Vanilla.js, React. I imagine some jQuery since SignalR client depends on jQuery. The new SignalR client doesn't depend on jQuery. So the new SignalR for .NET Core does not. The old one that runs with the older one, the mature one that runs on .NET Framework does rely on jQuery. And there's nothing wrong with jQuery. jQuery is a great library. Folks have been using for a very long time. Very mature and great API and documentation around that. I did have jQuery in here, and I want to pull it out so that I'm now pushing and using WebSockets, some of those HTML5 features, to update my screen. So we were looking I want to go back here to the pull request that we were sent by Bruno. So let's take a look. Yeah, let's look at the files changed. So here's csproj. What the heck? Are you committing things in here while I'm going here? All right, so follower hub. Okay. I thought I saw something move. Anyways, all right. So you're receiving the Twitch service and the Mixer service. Now, what I had started doing was I was looking at these and thinking, I probably want to open that up and have a generic follower service that gets pushed in. But you removed references to my follower service, and you just have a stream service updated method here, event handler, that'll trigger on the updated events from each one of those services, whether it's Mixer or Twitch, and you're going to invoke on the client side. So this is really cool. This is one of the features, Premisified, if you haven't seen how SignalR works. In what Bruno wrote here is, for all the clients that are connected to this service, execute this method called onFollowersCountUpdated that's in the JavaScript in the browser, and pass in this data point as an argument, a combination of the two follower counts. So Bruno removed my clumsy follower service that I was writing. Cleaned up my Twitch service a little bit by removing the timer. You removed my private stream reference and removed stuff about the viewers. I think we're going to end up coming back and we're going to need this in a bit here. So I'm not thrilled with those changes. But after I did the interlocked, you moved the update invoke. Okay, to notify. So what this is doing, this is raising the updated event and saying the Twitch followers have been updated. You're going to need to check this out. So that's not too bad. I'm all right with that. In the startup class, now here to answer the question, who had the question about IOC? Raven. So here's one of the things where we're working with IOC. We're setting up the dependency injection container. Now I was adding a scoped instance, right? And a scoped instance of something in the dependency injection container is something that's going to be available in the same version. The same instance of, in this case, the follower hub will be available for every class during that request that's being managed by ASP.NET. Where something that is a singleton, it's the same object that's available to everybody for the life of the application. No worries, Bruno. We'll get it ironed out. And then here we changed. So you changed the followers count. So you see the followers count widget up there in the top corner that says followers 344? This is the template that formats that. And Bruno changed, this looks the same. It looks like you just changed some of the spacing on that. No big deal. But let's see. Remove jQuery, remove JavaScript. Oh, change some of the spacing again. Java to remove jQuery, the SignalR client. And then changed the code, hub URL, and got the location of the follower stream. That's cool. Good point, Bruno. Let me come back to that in a second. Bruno's got a great comment there in the chat room that I want to address. The HTTP connection, so the connection back to the reference to that URL is a new SignalR HTTP connection to tilde, the hosted web server follower stream. That's where I'm listening for that. Let hub connection equal, so we get a new hub connection, right? That's the pointer back to it. Hub connection on, so this is saying, here's that on followers count updated, right? So I was explaining, right, up here, where did it go? See this where it says invoke async on followers count updated? That method is declared right here on followers count updated. So those two names need to match, and SignalR on the server will know how to trigger this method, and the method is defined right here. So for the data received, and then we have fat arrow notation in JavaScript, so it's going to pass this data argument in. Console log data, that's I like that. I do the same type of paranoid development there. I want to see that before I do anything with it. Document get element ID count, set the text content equal to that. Makes sense. Then after declaring that little method there, so here's where I was doing my jQuery Ajax fetch. So yeah, yank that, and we just say hub connection start, and that establishes the connection to the server and starts listening for this method to be called. Very cool. And here's all the other stuff commented out. Fantastic. What do we have down here? Oh, that's right. You said you wired it up to goal also. So the goal bar up at the top, right? So here's the way this was formatted. 16 is the border, 8 on each side. Ah, okay. It's late and I wish I could stay. Can rewatch this stream via Twitch? Yes. I do upload streams to YouTube later. You can actually go to, if you key into your browser, check this out. If you go to youtube.jeffreyfritz.com, it'll actually jump right to my channel. Or you can be able to go to you can just go to my blog, and I'll have a link back to this from there later. VODs do stay for a while. They do stick around for a month on both services, Twitch and Mixer. Or am I a Microsoft MVP? Hello, Zia. I am not a Microsoft MVP. I am on Channel 9. I don't have any of my MVP stuff is behind me. I am actually the coordinator for the MVP program for developers. I'm a Microsoft program manager. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Check Digits. So I've been around a little bit. So welcome, Elosia. I hope you enjoy the stream. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So yeah, Raven. Catch you later. I'm probably only going to go for about another hour. I have a hard stop at noon that I need to get to. So let's take a look. I want to finish up looking at this. So here's the progress bar. So let's see. What did you change here? So you changed this to give a little bit of a buffer on each side. Okay. Follower bar fill, and then the width. Okay. Caption. I'm not quite sure why it says that there's a change there, because those look the same in both. Okay. And then the follower bar. Not quite sure what's follower bar. Oh, the tabbing changed. All right. Yeah, it's the spacing. That's what it is. That's annoying. All right. So now, and I like that you started wrapping things for me in a self-executing function here. And I don't you need a... Oh, that's a jQuery start. We can do this with a... What was it? An IIFE, right? Is that what they call it? I forget. But we can actually wrap this so it calls itself. So it executes itself as soon as it's done loading. We don't need jQuery for this. So full bar width equals the view bag width. So I actually let you pass the width in as a query string parameter. And the goal value is actually a query string parameter also. Let's see, let hub URL equals the follower string. Yep, and so you're doing the exact same thing here. And on followers count updated. So you're doing the exact same thing, except you're receiving the value from SignalR instead of jQuery. Very cool. So what I want to do with this, I want to do a squash. I don't want to merge just yet. I want to rebase. will be rebased and added to the base branch. All commits will be added to the base branch via merge. No. I want to do a rebase because I want to go through and the stuff for viewers I don't want to lose. So let's do the rebase and merge here. Yeah, rebase. Oh, nice. It just took it. Ugh. All right. I do like what you did there, so it should be merged into features SignalR. So let me pull that. And let's take a look. Yeah, you yanked my follower service. I don't think I need that really now. So now those changes are merged, and we'll take a look at working with that viewer count. There it is. Working with that later. We'll come back to that because I do want to replace the viewer count in the corner there. You added 16 pixel padding because when it reached 100%, it was still not filling properly. Let's start the project and let's take a look. So we should be able to see what's going on here. And I also want to look at why my 500 there on the goal bar is trimming. So I should be able to go to followers and I want to go to goal. Right, so there's my followers goal, and I told you I can set the width on this. Check this out, right? If I say width equals 400, it'll reset the width to 400 pixels, right? And I can also force it to say 500. That's better. And I can set my goal, right, by just specifying like that, and it'll change my goal value appropriately. Now, we had started Postman here, so that in test mode, we could actually push a number of a number into this and kind of force it to appear how we want it to. So I can, for those of you that didn't see, under my followers controller. So this is a class called followers controller, and it will listen as an API for the HTTP post verb at this address, API/followers. And if we're in development mode, whatever's posted as the number of new followers, we'll actually save that. And we'll serve that and make it look like that's our current number of followers. Now, if I'm correct, if I change this to 350, I don't think that's actually going to update. So I forced in the number of followers as 350, and now because this is pulling directly from the Twitch stream, it's not actually going to serve that. So for test purposes, I think I want to go back and just tweak that a little bit. Devin asks, is this just a generic .NET Core REST API? Yes. So the API, right, is sitting at API followers, and there's my generic value coming back with no formatting. It's straight JSON being placed in the browser for me, and I can also go to what is that the only API I had? What's the other API I had out there? Nope, that's Nope. This is the only API I had for getting, right? And it'll just return that number. And it's absolutely, you're right, it's just a simple generic .NET Core REST API. Now that followers count, it's a private static. In order for me to make that kind of available so that the hub sees it and that it pushes it down and we kind of force that to happen. I'm going to go, let's take a look. The hub is over here, the follower hub. And there's where we can see the updated event was triggered. And it's invoking onFollowersCount updated. So in order for me to kind of create a test scenario here, I think if I wanted to create a static method here so I could receive this and kind of push that down to all my clients, it's going to get a little dicey. Right, because I'm receiving these two services. So here's what I'm thinking. Right now I have these two services hard-coded here. And it might be easier. There was a suggestion at one point to have a generic follower service that kind of summed up, or a generic service that was an aggregate of all the different services, Mixer and Twitch, maybe YouTube, maybe Facebook Live, the different services that are being managed by the application, so that I don't have to go back to all of my different classes and add, here's the new one, here's YouTube service, here's Facebook. I don't have to keep extending those things. So if I did that little bit of refactoring, I could receive that other service, and over here in my followers controller, instead of just updating the static number of followers that's sitting here, I could push that into my generic service that's an aggregate of these things and trigger the updated method across everything. So Ben Grenier, why not iList service as follower hub ctor param? That's interesting. That's interesting. So what Ben is suggesting there, green ear, haha, like grandma, right? Like Grand Marnier, right? So this implements iHosted service. I would want to put an extra thing out here, but what I'd really like to do though, instead of just a flat iList, I would like to have an aggregate that is able to manage the various things here. Joe Bunn says, I could invoke async on followers count updated from the followers controller for testing. Yes. Yes. Is there someone who is a pro in cryptography? I am not a professional in cryptography here on this stream. So if I'm doing that, invoke... I see where you're... And it's a good idea, Ben. I'm not shooting that down, but I think I want to wrap it because I think I'm going to end up needing to aggregate those different events and different values across the various services. A service factory required. That's a good idea, DJ Vortex. That might be something to look into. But before I get into that much refactoring here, let's I just saw a bunch of things fly by on Twitter. What happened here? Nope, we're good. Let me take a look. So Joe Bunn suggested doing the invoke async for the folks that are connected to that hub. So I'm over here in the followers controller. Now, how do I call invoke async on that hub's clients from over here? Right? How do I get a hook on that? It used to be... I forget how you do that. How to invoke DI the iHub context. Ah, okay. So there's another DI thing, right? So all of these things that I'm receiving into this controller, I can receive an iHub context, the context for the followers hub. Followers hub. And we will call this, let's call it followers context, right? Now I'm going to control dot and get some help from Visual Studio to fill in my my using statements here. This should actually be follower hub. There we go. Get that fixed, and then I will stash that off. This follower context equals, let's fix that. Follower context, and now I need to make sure that that property is there, so generate that read-only property, and Visual Studio writes that out for me. Now, there we go. Now I can say, so that get is fine. I'm saving that there. And now I can do follower context clients all, invoke async, and then the method that was being called that Bruno wrote for us is on followers count updated. And instead of grabbing the values from the Twitch and Mixer services, I'm just going to pass down the new followers that was submitted. So now, right, so this is that SignalR context where it's going to find all the folks, all the clients that are attached to this hub, and it's going to call this JavaScript method, and it should update it with the correct number of followers. And then we'll look at some of the refactoring of my services here in just a minute. So let's get rid of that. Start this. I noticed my frames per second didn't die here at about 11 o'clock. I'm waiting for it to happen. I'm still at 30 frames per second. I'm waiting for that to just kind of crap out here on me. So we were at followers, goal. Let's make it 400. And that's fine. Width equals 500. Right, and there's that. Bruno says you can also change the private method to public on Follower Hub and receive the number of followers. This way you can inject your test quantity. Interesting. Let me come back to that, because that's an interesting way to also approach it the same way. So now I'm going to do that same post again to force the update. And look at that. There's no polling. It immediately updated. That is awesome, right? If I take a look at... I love seeing this. This is great work here, team. Website. So here you can see SignalR client, WebSocket connected to 59201, follower stream, and then it's got a client ID, which is just a GUID, right? And if we look at network, right? Yeah, reload, right? So there we can see the connection, and if I push down, and let's make this instead of new, see it refreshed and it doesn't have my new count here. So let me push that 350 again, and I'm just going to move up so you can see the network activity. And it's not even showing up here because it's just that open socket, right? So it's set to 350, and actually it's getting the information back and flipping it back to 346. Is that refresh still in that page? But that looks really cool, right? So I'm really happy with how that works. Now, let's see here. It changes back after a second or two. Yeah, look at that. I bet you that's coming from... I wonder where that is coming from. That would have to be coming out of the hub. And it has to be calling this updated. Didn't we have a thing in the Mixer service with a timer that's firing here? No, wait, the Mixer service... We had a timer in here somewhere. The old JS timer base refresh. That's what I thought, but I could have sworn I saw Bruno removed it. Yeah, the old timer's removed, so we're good. Yep. So, right, we can just delete this. I'm good with that because it works now. Yep, there's my my test code do stuff. We don't need that. That's fine. not quite sure where it's coming from, but for test purposes, I can see that it works. I'm okay with that. Now, I want to touch on, before I do any more refactoring, Bruno had made a point that it doesn't quite fill up properly. So if I make this 346, right? So I'm sorry, my new number of followers, make that 400, so that it is. That does look like it's filled up properly. So I'm pretty good with that. That looks like that was a good fix. Yeah, look at that. What happens if this goes higher? Right, it still fills up. That looks good. I'm okay with that. So let's. Yeah, I'm good with all of this. Might be getting an update from one of the services, even though the value's not changing. Yeah, I think you're right, Joe Bun. I think you're right. All right. So let's do this. So that looks like it's working, and I'm hoping that helps clear up my little 500 issue at the top of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save that. Why am I getting a blue line out of mixer service? Add braces to if statement. Explicitly use explicit type instead of var. There's code style features in here. Look at that, Joe Bun. Firing the updated event, even if the number of followers is the same. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to fix that in a second. So the errors that I have coming out of Mixer service are around using var. And it's suggestions on C# naming. No. For built-in types, nope, I prefer var. And what was the other one? Oh, the ifs. Yes, I do want braces on those. All right, so now add braces to if statement on line 153. Yeah, I'm going to add some braces to these couple things here, only because when we're doing collaborative building like this type of a statement like this, while it's easy to read and see, it's also easy to misinterpret if it's not your code. So I am going to do a control dot there, and it gives me the quick fix here to add those braces. And it really doesn't look right. That's better. I do check the viewers count. Missed it for the followers. Don't worry. We'll take a look at that. All right. So was that it? Was that the only one? The only if statement? No. Whatever. That's fine. All right. Followers count. Okay. So it was that that was the mixer service, wasn't it? So I'm sorry, go back into the mixer service, and when updated is fired here. So if it doesn't, so for viewers, right? So if the number of followers does not equal null, okay. Yeah. Here it is, right? And data num followers. Excuse me. Dot value int. When that does not equal number of followers, then we'll do the update. There we go. Cool. I'm all right with that. So let me just verify. And then we'll deploy the Docker container and see how it looks. So I'll refresh that. So I get a fresh connection. And so I will push this to 500. And it shouldn't flip back. Looks pretty good. I think we're in a good spot now. Cool. All right. Oh, look at that. Son of a gun. Now, is that a problem with... So we just fixed that here in the Twitch in the Mixer service. Too soon. Yeah, I know. Right? Current follower count. On new followers detected, it is going to fire that. That's all right. Yeah, that's all right for now. We'll figure that out later. And that's in the hub. This is sometimes... no, this is triggered periodically, even when there is no change in followers. And we'll figure that out later. Maybe it changes when the actual number of followers changes. Not... Well, that's what it... But it didn't change. Yes, great point there, Check Digits. So what he's pointing out, there was an Intel issue that was disclosed yesterday because people started seeing the commits going into Linux. There's two significant issues. One is that's a great idea, Joe Pun, and I think we should do that. I'll hook up the debugger and we'll look at it, but I want to finish talking about this Intel issue. There's an issue with the Intel processors, and supposedly the issue was also found in AMD and ARM processors. That means basically every device that has been made since like 1995 that uses this same instruction set. Yep, they're called Meltdown and Spectre are the names of the two flaws. The fact that a flaw has a name and a logo makes me question it immediately. Because security folks, they're not big into giving things names. And they're also not big into giving things logos. They're really not into giving things logos. And in big organizations like the one I work for, and certainly at Google, where Google's Project Zero team works, they have big marketing teams that like to control press releases and announcements. I'll let you do the math from there. But these two basically say that there's a way to trick the Intel processor to yield information across process boundaries. And what people are saying they can do is they can actually get your passwords from one VM or from one process or one Docker container into another. They say they can do this. Apparently there is a proof of concept out there that has been shared privately with the operating system and browser vendors. Oh, by the way, when this was announced, the only operating system that was patched was Chrome OS and Android. You can do the math on that one. The only great thing are the names. Yeah. how awesome Spectre and Meltdown sounds. They are, yep, sure. And I'm absolutely sure that they do have people dedicated to come up with names. And those people work in marketing. So, it's interesting that I have my concerns. It's interesting that this was found, and that basically every machine in the world, except for mainframes from the 1970s, is affected. And everybody is rushing to patch this, whether it's Windows, or it's Mac OS, or it's Linux operating systems, or your phone's operating system. But nobody has proof of this exploit being used in the wild. However, now that it's been disclosed, you can bet people are looking at how to exploit it. And that doesn't make me happy. So, that's what's going on with those things. Now, I like where Joban was saying, Steven, let's hear it for OpenVMS running on Alpha. Oh, that takes me back. Joban was saying, let's set a breakpoint here, take a look at the call stack, and see exactly what's triggering this. You know what? That's not a bad idea, so I'm going to do that. Right? This is one of the great features of all of the Visual Studios, is an amazing debugger, right? The debugger for Visual Studio it's kind of like the crown jewel of this tool. It's really reliable, rock solid, and I encourage you to check it out, to use it whenever you can, because it just makes life so much easier. When I send through a new value here, well, look at that. There's a problem to start with, Joban. I didn't see this get triggered, which tells me, well, no, and it wouldn't, because that post actually is triggering right there. So I'm okay on that. Meat Popsicle, I'm going back to my Compact 386 with the turbo button. Dude. There's the 1990s called, and they want that Y2K problematic machine. Absolutely. Let's go back to that. So here my debugger triggered. This is this phantom update that we're looking at here, right? It's going to push my current follower count down and into. Now, I can take a look at the call stack here, and I can actually see what exactly called this. And sure enough, it's the mixer updater. It's parsing the event, and it's going to go down into this parse event, and it's actually being triggered right here. And it is updating to output the number of viewers. So here we go. Fossils has been a Packard Bell. Ugh. I was never a fan of Packard Bell. I'm sorry. Here's what I want to do. Let's check this out. So we're saying we're triggering the updated event here. Let's compress things. There, it's saying this is the updated. There's one event called updated in here. I think I want to have two events here. I think I want to have updated followers, and I think I also want to have updated viewers, because this is triggering for the viewers. Or I could pass in a collection of event arguments that says here's what was updated. I like that idea. You know what? I really like that idea. So I'm going to create another class here to carry my event arguments. So public class, and I will call this service updated event args, and I'm going to inherit from event args, right? Event args is the event arguments that you pass around. And I'm going to do, let's stuff as much information in here, even though we might not need it now. Let's just put it in here as a POCO, right? A plain old CLR object that we can just pass around and have this information. Maybe we use it later. So I'm just going to create a couple properties in here, and let's call this. Not new follower. Let's call it follower count. And viewer count. String. The service name that triggered this. And you know what? Now, let's put the enum inside of this. Yeah. Public enum. So an enum is a collection of related values. You aren't going to need it. I know, Yagni, but you know what? We'll see. Joe Bun's suggesting I could do a nullable new followers and new viewers. That's not bad. That's not bad. Let me do it that way. I still want to leave this service name in here. So if we do public int with the question mark, new followers. So for those of you that haven't used this, the question mark says this is a nullable integer. It can be null. And if it is null, that's something significant. So let me add another property here, and this will be an int for new viewers. All right. Okay. And I'm going to move this to a new file. Yep. Okay. And I'm going to change my event handler to fire with service updated event args. So this is saying the updated event handler is not just passing along a collection of arguments, but it's going to pass along this specific type of arguments, which means now that when I raise that, see, look at this, I've got a red line over here, and it's hiding somewhere right there, and since everything's collapsed, I can't see it. Where is it? It's down here in parse event. There it is. See, now it says when I call the invoke method on the event to raise the event, it's going to instead of look for a collection of event arguments, just generic event arguments, it's looking for my specific service updated event args. Hellosia says, I don't really understand why people like to use nullable types. Do they introduce a lot of null checks? Brendan's right. Often, yes, they do. And F# folks would tell you that's a bad thing. Yeah, but it's a C# feature. It's a C# feature that's pretty good to use. So let's, instead of making this empty here, right, I'm going to say new service updated event args. And I can say service name equals mixer. And this is for a new follower count. And I will actually specify that the new follower count is that. All right. That's better. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to pass through a new service updated event args. Service name equals mixer. And the new viewer count. Right. So new viewers equals this. Don't need that. Cool. So now I'm passing that through all the way. Fritz is correct. There are plenty of built-in null-related features in C#. Yep. Shouldn't it work with event args anyway, since your service updated event args inherits? Well, that's a great question. Let me touch on that. Where was that? That Devin was asking. Because I declared the event to receive this specific type of event args, I need to submit into it that specific type of event args. When I fetch when I grab this, I can cast it to a specific type of a less specific type to the generic event args type. So, null coalescing and null conditional. Yes, those are great features. It would work with that, but that restricts only working with a more specific type. Yep. Safer if you're going to have custom properties, since you need those at compile time. Yes. And I like having compile time checking to make sure that I'm not doing something stupid. That makes the compiler my friend and is pair programming with me and letting me know and is raising information about raising error checks on my code. Thrice blinded. It's also useful to have a type like an int be nullable on purpose. Null can mean something. Yes, in this case you're right. Null does mean something. Where you might otherwise be checking for default 0. You're absolutely right. I don't want to have that extra check or carry around an extra field where I'm carrying a value that I don't really care about. Alright, so I'm going to make this a service updated event args here. And I feel like I want to put this into a generic interface for these services. Right, so that I can receive and have that information here. Alright, so I need to update and I need to fix this here. So this is new service updated event args. Oops. There we go. Service name, this is in the Twitch service. And then this is for new followers. Equals... Now look at that. I'm just doing an interlocked increment. I'm just going to grab that for right now. But this feels like it could be susceptible to bugs. That feels like it's waiting to be a problem. Okay, so now I'm raising my event arguments and I'm listening for it, so that works great for me. Now, here's to Devin's question earlier. I can listen to the event and receive a less specific type, and this is what Brendan was actually kind of pointing to. I'm receiving, and I have an event handler here that I've attached to those events that is receiving the less specific event args type. Okay. Not bad. But I really want to receive and be able to inspect that other information. So I'm going to actually receive the more specific type here. And I'm going to put some carriage returns in here just to make this easy to see. So now, since this is follower hub, what I'll do is I'll do a check and say if new followers has value. You know what? Let's turn around. I like to have quick exits from these. Return. Ghostly Cheese 44. Now that's a fun handle. Thank you, Ghostly Cheese, and thanks, Steve. You may want to check out some antiperspirant there, buddy. All right. Oh, I love when Steve pops up like that, and he's actually a pretty nice guy. I haven't met him, but I've heard plenty of anecdotes. And use get services iStream service to get them. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. I like where you're going with that. Let me come back to that. Alright, I'm getting this now. Why am I getting a blue? What don't you like? Oh, it doesn't... It wants me to wrap this. Fine. See, if the if statement is all on one line, I would love that. There you go. Devin, that's a great question. What does DI stand for? DI stands for dependency injection. So, for this follower hub class here, right? Here's the constructor for it. the dependencies, the things that I need in order to manage and interact with my followers, are injected. They're passed in as constructor parameters, my Twitch service and my Mixer service. So I'm injecting those dependencies. They are required to create a follower hub. So this structure, it enforces that these things are available, and then I stash them in local properties so that my other methods can then interact and have access to those things when they need them. But because they're required for the constructor, they'll always be available for you. So that's dependency injection in 30 seconds or less. Register the iStream service interface instead of depending on the real service types would be a nice design. But then I've got to do... I see where you're going, Joe Bun. But then I've got to do... So Devin, if you haven't seen this pattern, what this is doing is... and what Joe Bun is suggesting is that... oh, look. It's a scammer. I should have fun and talk to a scammer on stream one time. We'll see about that. What Joe Bun's suggesting is we would be very tightly coupled then to the dependency injection container, because he's suggesting we receive a collection of those iStream services, or we tell the dependency injection container to get us all of those objects, and that can go either way. I like the idea. I'm not completely sold on it yet, and might be a little over engineering right now. So I want to come back to that. Hey, OS Engine, welcome. I actually have a hard stop here just before noon, and I'm getting right up to that time. It's still snowing pretty good outside here. All right, so strategy pattern is dependency injection. Yes. Right. So I like the idea, Joe Bun, and I want to revisit that. Not just yet. Let me come back to that. If you want this thing to be testable, then you should use an IOC container. You're close to Loja. If you want it to be testable, you don't necessarily have to use an IOC container. You should use some type of dependency injection, because when I test, I can pass in some sort of fake service here. And back to what Joe Bun is saying, if I was receiving just interfaces here and not these concrete objects, I could stub them out. I could swap them out easily with a mockable object. Look at that. Brendan's backing me up here. Look at that. Feels good. All right, so this should be updating now properly. If followers has value, update, that's good. I prefer avoiding the IOC container. Yeah. I want to avoid coupling directly to it. And that's just me. I don't want to add more than is necessary there. And to a comment that somebody said earlier, I forget who it was that said it, my apologies, a service factory may actually be preferred here, because as we say, you know what, let's add a YouTube service, we'll have that factory in one place, and it's managing all of those different services that we have available. Doesn't .NET Core have a built-in IOC container? It does. Yep, it's down here in the startup class. You'll see it right here in configure services, and where it says services add singleton, right? Those things are being configured in the container. Brendan's right. Anyone using the library would need to add a dependency on the IOC container. That starts to feel weird, but I'm in an application here, so it's not too bad. Just learned about design patterns. No, design patterns are a great thing. In fact, Brendan, I don't know if maybe you'd be interested in doing this, but I want to talk to either you or Steve, and see if we can work together to do some refactoring to write some unit tests around this project. I'd really like to get some strong unit tests around this to make it easier to test and to help facilitate other folks contributing code to it. Lithium 4900. Welcome. So I'm actually writing. You see the little UI widgets here in the stream, the ASP.NET Core Workshop meter up there, and the followers count. Those are actually web pages that are being generated and embedded using OBS, the Open Broadcaster software. I'm actually writing an ASP.NET Core application that uses SignalR to push and update those values. So I want to wrap up where we are here. I am now raising. Hello, Gia. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. There is more than one IOC. Well, you mean an IOC container for .NET? Yes, there are lots of them, and the one that comes with .NET Core it's good enough for what I need because this is a small project. But you're right. There's lots of them out there you can check out. Yeah, let's, you know what, Brendan, let's set up a time. If you want to jump on and pair program, get you on Skype, and we can do some refactoring here and talk about it. And that might be fun. And Mike Brocky from the Angular CLI team has actually talked about jumping on here and taking some of this code and Angularifying it. Is that yeah, that's a thing. All right, we are almost out of time here, so this all works the way I want it to. If the new followers count doesn't have a value, then return. Yeah, that's good. It's a good word for sure. Yes. Here, somebody write that on Twitter. Fritz just coined Angularifying a project. Feels good. Yeah, Angular's a nice framework. I don't have any problem with it. But what I do have a problem with is folks that say you can't do any web development unless it's Angular. That kind of dogmatic approach to JavaScript libraries, I don't agree with that at all. Because then people start to feel bad about their choices, right? And that's never good. So let's do a quick check here at the things that have changed, and I've changed a lot. Let me add that new set of event args. Stream tools, services, service updated event args. Daddy Tanner, welcome. That isn't, what's his name? Is it? Bob Saget? I didn't know Bob Saget was a coder. I want to make a SignalR Angular chat app for fun. That's cool. You can absolutely do that. Let me commit my changes here. Refactored to make testing follower counts easier. Cool. All right. I like React more than Angular, even though it's from Facebook. Isaac, the issue that most have with React and Angular is the initial project setup process. Vue is good there. You know what? All of these frameworks have huge setup, and it gets to be a little big. I'm going to take a look at the Git log here. So here's the things from Bruno, and you can see those changes. Those look, I'm okay with that. You know, I'll let that sit there. Lim Giggle, welcome. Thanks for the follow. Let me push my changes here, and then I'm going to. And look, my followers counts and stuff up on the stream here. They updated properly. That's good. All right, so that's updated. Let me rebuild my container here. I wrote a little build script called build.command. It's right on the root of the project. You can find it in my source control here. It should be, if you go under the dev branch, there you go. You'll see my build command here if you're interested in it. But all this is doing is Docker building my application and stashing it on my private Docker repository. So let me do that now. I'm going to build, and this is going to be 063. So I actually take in an argument. That's what this %1 is here. It's my version number. So I'm going to build that and let it stash those things out there for me. That should run very, very quickly here. All right. Come on. So here it's communicating with my private Azure repository. And I did a stream about 2 weeks ago now, a week or two now, where I showed how to set up an Azure, on Azure your own Docker container registry. Real easy to do. If you're interested in checking out how to set up a private registry that you need to log in with your own credentials to, you can check that out. And there's ways to set that up so that folks can access that from the public as well, if you want to make that available. But when I'm done here, I actually want to publish this to the public Docker Hub. So that's all published, and it's out there, and it's running in my private repository. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go onto my production machine here. I'm going to stop my running application here, and I'm going to Docker pull a new version of that, so I get all the updates that we just wrote. So now it's downloading that, and I'll restart this so I get updated bars up at the top for these things. I've done like 4 ASP.NET and Angular projects, but SignalR sounds fun. SignalR is very cool. It's that live interaction. People like being able to see things happen instantly in their browser. So that's done. Now I have this simple run command that loads up all my environment variables, all my configuration for the project. And this should finish starting up. There it is. And I'm just going to reach into OBS. And look at that, you can see it's already updated some of the things up there. I'm going to go into the follower goal, and I want to refresh that, see if I can get that 500 to fit on the screen. And it's not going to do it. So I've got some sort of a problem here. Right? Ooh. Nope. I've got some sort of a problem with the formatting where it cuts that off for some reason, and I don't know why. I'm going to grab that follower count now, and I'm just going to refresh the cache of that page, and that'll update, and it just looks the same. But as we get more followers, we'll see those numbers update immediately. Hopefully, as soon as we see my friend Steve pop up here, those numbers should update automatically instead of having to wait the 5 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever that polling sequence is. Lithium says, I've yet to use Docker with ASP.NET Core. Very cool stuff. I show a little bit about how to set that up a few streams ago, if you want to take a look at that. Jabber, there's another good example of this. But I think I'm at the end of my stream here today because I do have a meeting at noon I need to get to. So that's going to do it for right now. There were a bunch of questions here about reformatting in different ways. Is this a new pull request? No. Different things to refactor, to improve the structure of this. If anybody wants to take a few minutes of their time and submit a pull request that shows how they could do that, that would be great. I'd also like to get some docs in here. And I want to be able to also create and save settings so that those could be exported so it's easy to run. What an amazing streaming community. So glad I found this channel. Thanks for joining us, Devin. I appreciate it. I'll export the video here to YouTube so it's available on my channel. I still haven't written up my blog post wrapping up Tuesdays. Blue4267, thank you for the follow. Come on, goal bar and follows. Fill up real quick here. Show me that one extra person lighting up here. And it's not updating. The bars aren't updating. Why aren't they updating? But I'll have a couple blog posts out there. My blog, you see it up there on the top, is jeffreyfritz.com. I encourage you to check that out. What's the refresh on it? What's the refresh? Refresh browser. There is no refresh. It should just push because there it goes. Now it updated. Don't know why it took so long to refresh it, because we removed the queue. Will this interesting project, flattening the tree from Iris, ever come back? Yes. We aren't going to leave Iris hanging out there. We will come back and talk to her about some of the things that she was working on. We talked with her over the holiday break. So we will, we'll talk about it again then. See where she went with it, see what decisions she made. Twitch takes 30 seconds. Yeah. That feels weird. We might need to take a look at that. But I also want to be able to put themes in here and some other things in the stream tools, so we can do a little bit more formatting with that. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I want to be able to do with formatting this and making it a real complete toolkit for the stream tools. So I think that's all I've got today. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me. Like I said, we'll have the recording up, and I'll hopefully get to that blog post a little bit later today. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll see you next time. That'll be Saturday morning at 10. All right? Catch you then.